Welcome to Reporter 247 channel, the place to update the fastest and most accurate news. The Turkish lira plummeted today as President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan reiterated his commitment to prolong his divisive rule following a historic electoral victory. As the nation waits to see the future of Erdoğan's policies, the lira's fall highlights the uncertainty surrounding his next steps. The Turkish lira has plummeted to an all-time low following the election victory of President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, a stark indication of the economic hardships the country is expecting to experience in the next decade of his rule. The lira plummeted against the dollar after Erdoğan's announcement of success. On Monday, Morgan Stanley forecast that the Turkish currency would further decline in 2021, with the dollar potentially reaching as high as 26 or 28. Addressing his supporters from the balcony of the presidential palace in Ankara on Sunday evening, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan expressed his triumphant victory with a strong show of hawkishness. Following electoral success against his rival, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, Erdoğan had secured 52.16% of the vote compared to Kılıçdaroğlu's 47.84%. The president then went on to take swipes at his political opponents, vowing to continue his unorthodox economic policies before reciting a nationalist poem in celebration. This outcome will likely embolden Erdoğan to believe he can maintain his current policies, remarked Soner Koptay, a biographer of the Turkish leader and an analyst at the U.S. think tank the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. Can Samerçoglu of the fact-checking organization Teyit noted that during the divisive election campaign between President Erdoğan and his opponents, a huge amount of disinformation was deployed which influenced the results of the 4% winning margin. The incumbent labeled his opponents supporters of terrorism in order to secure a mandate to continue the same rogue foreign policy decisions and unconventional economic policies of recent years. As such, it is anticipated that the same tactics of misinformation will continue to plague television and social media. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan was facing uncertainty in securing a third term in an increasingly divided nation before the election. His sedan drove through mounds of rubble in the aftermath of two powerful earthquakes that claimed the lives of over 50,000 people, stirring up deep sorrow in the hearts of his citizens. Meanwhile, people continued to voice out their grievances concerning the inflated cost of living that plagued the country. In an effort to combat mounting economic troubles, Erdoğan announced free natural gas supply for a month and also moved to hike the minimum wage prior to the election. When pronouncing victory in the election, Erdoğan reiterated his promises of free natural gas to his supporters, as a demonstration of Turkey's economic independence from the International Monetary Fund. He also expressed his adamant belief that decreasing interest rates would reduce inflation, instead of increasing it. The president also stated that resolving recent price rises due to inflation and compensating for any welfare losses would be the most pressing items on the agenda for the incoming days. He reassured his supporters that these issues are not difficult to resolve. The result of the election, including a win in regions affected by earthquakes, indicated that the president has achieved widespread support, even though the conditions surrounding his rule remain unchanged. President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan vowed to continue efforts to repatriate Syrian refugees, riding a wave of hardline nationalist sentiment that saw former ultranationalist presidential candidate, Sinan Ogun, join him in declaring victory in Ankara. This ushered in the most right-wing parliament Turkey has seen in recent history, sparking warnings of likely increased attacks on the LGBTQ+ community and women. Standing atop a bus near his home in Istanbul, he called upon his supporters to brand any opposition party as LGBT. Selim Koptay, director of the Turkish research program at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, said Erdoğan thrived off the culture wars, noting that the opposition had attempted to focus the election on the economy, post-earthquake recovery and corruption. However, Erdoğan had managed to reframe the debate around defending Turkey against terrorism, identity politics and polarization. Ziya Meral of the Royal United Services Institute concurred with shared sentiments that the victory of President Erdoğan was due to an alliance created to energize his supporters against threats that included Kurdish militants, Western-oriented liberals, and foreign governments. Meral noted that a 180-degree shift from Erdoğan's nationalist rhetoric to an inclusive and pacifying language would be extraordinary. Taking advantage of the situation, Erdoğan asked his base to continue their battle so the AKP can regain authority in the upcoming local elections. His opposition, Istanbul's mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu, attempted to rally the demographic with his message of hope that stated, "Everything is beginning anew." Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with the latest news. Goodbye.